them. This Quranic verse came down. Qul, Muhammad, say to them at this stage one thing. Qul innama a'idhukum biwahida. At this stage you can only comprehend one piece of advice. An taqumu lillah mathna, that you may go to Allah in twos and in ones. Go by yourselves. Why? ثم تتفكروا. Then reflect. ما بصاحبكم من جنة. Meaning, as long as there's a head that's saying Muhammad is crazy, what's the Indians going to do? They're going to follow the chief. Because people think for you. For example, when I'm born, my mother says Jesus is the Son of God. Guess what? Jesus is the Son of God. My mother says Moses was this. Guess what? Moses was that. I'm a product of my environment. Whether I like it or not, none of you chose religion due to reflection. No. Allah here says, reflect. Even though you are born a Muslim, even though you are born a Jew, even though you are born a Christian, you should not be paralyzed. You're taking the ideas of those from before. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَعِظُكُمْ بِوَاحِدَةٍ. Go, as long as you are a tribe, you're going to go with what the chief says. Muhammad's crazy, you got it. But when you go home and think in twos or ones and think about it, think, is this man really crazy? You will come out with a different result. Is Jesus the Son of God? As long as my church father is saying he's the Son of God, guess what? He's the Son of God. Although everything within me that God gave me logical disagrees. But as if they're saying logic does not stand a chance against peer pressure. Absolutely not. We are trying to prove to people that God existed. Why? Because they were born into families that didn't believe in Allah. We are at this stage and we're trying to tell them this is a psychological issue. Allah exists, but the peer pressure that you were born in, how? I was born, the first diaper that they gave me was a Muslim diaper. The first toy I got was a Muslim toy. The first toothbrush. The first girl I loved was a Muslim girl. At 15 years old, guess what? What am I going to be? A Muslim. The air that I used to breathe was a Muslim air. Now you want to come and tell me Jesus is the Son of God? Are you kidding me? Similarly, if you were a Christian or Jewish or didn't believe in God, and you had this childhood of non-teaching, of ignorance, and I want to come 20 years later when you're 20 years old, I'm supposed to have one statement to tell you, what's wrong with you? Oh, this whole time you've been missing one statement that nobody knew how to say it except me? No. You have built a blockade where you're saying, no, nothing comes in. Whatever you think seems logical, to me isn't logical because I built a facade. You're not allowed to penetrate. Just like our children, when we leave them be for 10, 15 years, they build this facade. I'm rotten, I'm collapsing, right? And you try to teach them. At 18 years old, you walk up to your priest or to your scholar, you say, I need help with my daughter. Really, what's wrong? Well, she's this, she's that. Okay, what happened? Well, how old is she? She's 18. Where were you when she was 5? Should have came to me when she was 5, not when she was 18. Well, I don't like the way she dresses. Well, guess what? None of us like the way anybody dresses. Not because dressing is now an occupational code according to God. Dress code is according to age nowadays. For example, I may have somebody, a relative, that for years and years I say, you better dress up properly, properly, properly. Finally, I see the fruits. My God, they're dressing properly. And I thought it was because of me preaching. Little did I know, the lady is 35 years old. 35 years old, they got their own dress code. She's not going to dress up like an 18-year-old. Whatever you say, it's not going to happen. It's an age thing. She outgrew that phase. So Allah says, Judgment Day, when you had the chance, you failed the test. You can't take the test later on when you're older. You can't take the mathematical test when you're older. So here Allah says to the people, Muhammad, say unto them, I will give you one advice, think. Think. Islam invites you to think before anything else. They came to the Prophet, and the Prophet says, بَلْ قَالُوا إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَىٰ أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Meaning we found our forefathers like that, and we're just following their footsteps. It says, even if I would bring you something better than what your forefathers had, maybe your fathers didn't go to school, they didn't learn. It says, no problem. Don't even come, don't even go there. They were very inconsiderate with the Prophet. They didn't want to, but he knew that he had a message to deliver. He knew this message had to be delivered. And he knew he had to be considerate with them. Although they were very inconsiderate the way they approached his teachings, the way we are inconsiderate nowadays. Very inconsiderate on everybody around us, what everybody's trying to tell us. Funny story, they say this one lady is waiting for her airplane to leave. So what does a lady do at an airport when she wants to go, when she got time to kill? She buys a book, and she buys a bag of sweets. She comes and sits down, opens up the book and starts reading. She wants to kill time before she gets on her plane. What she doesn't realize, as she's reading the book, she became hungry. She turns over, she wants to grab her bag of sweets. Suddenly she finds the bag opened already. And she sees a little girl right next to her, taking each piece and eating the piece. This lady's thinking to herself, how inconsiderate this, how rude this girl is. She doesn't say anything, she keeps her cool. And before all the pieces run out, she grabs a piece. She eats it. She looks at the girl, and the girl is smiling. She's eating and smiling. She reads more and more and more, and she's looking, and she's thinking in the back of her mind, where do you bring these people from? What kind of world are we living in? Who raises these individuals? Even at the airport, you come and you sit next to me and you eat my bag of sweets without you even saying, can I? How rude. Then she looks, she finds one last piece, and she's boiling from within. This girl, I gotta slap this girl. Mother didn't teach you a lesson. So as she goes to grab the last piece, the young girl grabbed it. And she split it into two. And she gave her one piece and she took the other. This lady was appalled. What is this? She takes the piece and she's thinking, well, I'd never. She closes the book, picks up her bags, she leaves. She goes into the plane. She's so mad at what happened. She goes, she sits down in her seat. She wants to put the book away. She's still mad at the situation. She opens up the zipper. She puts the book. She realizes the bag of sweets that she bought is within the bag. She was eating the girl's sweets. And the girl was considerate enough to smile at her. And she's thinking, my God, I'm the inconsiderate one. This dialogue that the Prophet came, he says, I know you're inconsiderate, but I have to deliver. I have to give you my job. This even happens between, says, even if our parents believe this way, I'm going to be this way, no problem. Allah gives us a synopsis, Judgment Day, when everybody goes to their abode.